Mahadev Atmanaha. Following the earlier video, which acted much as a table of contents for the various scriptures in the Sanatana Dharma, we discussed the Vedic tree. Within this grand Vedic tree, we had the roots which were the Ved and Ved-related topics. We had the Ved, the Vedantar and the Upaved, which three put together made up the Vedic roots. Now we're going to be discussing the Ved. And this video is going to be about the first and foremost Ved, which is the Rigved. The Rigved is the oldest text of the Vedic civilization. It is a celebration of civilization which crosses across praises, various different lifestyle arrangements, social order, and essentially is a confluence between the two ideas of the microcosm and the macrocosm. These are some of the things that we will be discussing, along with both the organization of the Rigved as well as its contents. The Rigved comes from two terms, Rig and Ved. Rig meaning praise and Ved meaning knowledge. Essentially, the scripture which discusses the knowledge of praises. Categorically, we will be discussing how all the Vedic gods, the Rigvedic gods, what sort of praises there are, what sort of very, very specific incantations and suktis we have in the Rigved. We must understand that the Rigved is essentially Apaurushaya. It is held as being Apaurushaya. Apaurushaya is something which does not have its source in humans, and it does not have its source in human creativity. It is of divine nature. The Rigved, much like all the other Ved as well, the Vedic texts were heard by the rishis. Hence we discussed how they were the Shruti Shastra. Being heard by the rishis, they were heard, memorized, and then passed on to the Shishyas of these various rishis. There have been many reasons why this has not been written down in manuscripts. From the earliest records, what we have, those are many thousand years later when the first manuscripts were written. This was actually in order to preserve the authenticity and the reliability of the Vedic scriptures, and Rigved in particular. Within the Rigved, there is various different geography, people, livestock, various different rivers, and the praises of the Vedic gods. All of this makes up the literature within the Rigved, the divine literature in the Rigved. Additionally, which we will be discussing in future videos, the Rigved does contain all four of these Vedanta texts, the Brahmana, Aranyaka, Samhita, and the Upanishad. All of them are contained within the Rigved, and that will be explored in future videos. Along with that, one thing which is very important in terms of the organization of the Rigved, that it is in 10 parts. Sometimes they're called 10 books. In Sanskrit, they are called the 10 mandal. In Sanskrit, the term mandal essentially means a group, or it can mean a family, and it can also mean a circle. So a circular formation, that can also be a mandal. And it does work because it's almost as a circle of a group or a circle within the family in which the Rigved is heard, it is cogitated upon together, and of course preserved through oral tradition together. Each of these mandals has got one particular or many rishis and their respective families which have served this Ved, which have memorized and orally passed down this Ved. Each of these mandal have many anuvak. Anuvak essentially meaning a sort of a subsection of speech. And each of these anuvak have many sukts. The term sukt comes from su and ukt. Ukt meaning that which has been said, and su meaning auspicious or is a positive prefix. So su ukt is a sukt. That means something that is well pronounced. That is a sukt. Each of these sukt contain innumerable richas. And all these richas are based on a particular meter or a various different collection of pads. The major chand, the major meters which you find in the Rigved are of course the Gayatri, Trishtubh and Anushtubh, where of course Gayatri and Trishtubh are the most commonly found meters. Each of these sukt that we will be discussing, and which of course within your own swadhyay you would see when you study the Rigved, each sukt has got a presiding seer, which is a presiding rishi, a presiding deity, and a meter which it belongs to. This in Sanskrit, in the Vedic parampara, is known as the presiding rishi, the presiding devata, and the presiding chand. The Ved were essentially passed down orally within 21 shakhas, or recensions as they're called. And according to the Mahabhashya of Patanjali, there were 21, but however only one exists today, and that is called the Shakala Shakha. And it is the Shakala Shakha which fundamentally is the only Shakha which in its entirety is what the Rigved is today. Now we will discuss the various different mandal. In the first mandal, which is attributed to Gautam and Medhatithi, along with other rishis, the first and foremost start of the Rigved, the first richa of the first Rigved begins with Agni, and Agni meaning fire. It goes to show how there are many different traditions all across the world and have placed a great deal of importance on Agni, on fire. This is for many reasons, but first let us start off with the richa, which is found, the first and foremost richa, which is found in the Rigved and the first mandal. Agni mide purohitam yagyasya devam ritvijam hotaram ratnadhatamam. I praise thee, O Agni, the chosen priest, God, minister of sacrifice, the hotar, the benefactor of wealth. Agni is considered very, very pure and is considered to be a witness because Agni cannot be contained and Agni cannot be manipulated. In various different ceremonies that we have in the Sanatan Vedic Dharma, for example, many of the viewers would know when we have the Vedic ceremonies, when we have various different sanskar, for example, the Vivaha sanskar, even Antyeshti for that matter, along with the various different home and yajna that we do, Agni plays a very essential role. Fire plays an extremely important role in the Sanatan Vedic Dharma. It is a witness because a witness should not be able to be manipulated. And when we talk about Agni, we talk about Agni being one of the Panch Mahabhut, of course, but if we take a look, you can take a vessel and you can fill it up with water and that water can be contained. You can do the same with, say, earth, which is another Panch Mahabhut. This is one of the reasons. When you can contain something, you can manipulate it. Agni cannot be contained. Agni will flicker, it will move. And therefore, Agni, if it cannot be contained, it cannot be manipulated. And that is the greatest witness. This is the reason why Agni is of paramount importance in the Sanatan Dharma and acts as a witness for many of its ceremonies. The oft quoted richa, ekam sad vipraha bahuda vadantyagnim yamam matarishvana mahuhu. Truth is one. The Vipras call it Agni, Yam, Matarishwan, and so on. This very famous richa from which many dharmacharyas quote, especially of course nowadays even certain politicians also quote regularly, though that too comes from this first mandal, this pronouncement, this idea of truth being one, and famously explored by various different Mahatmas and yogis, that the ultimate goal is one. However, there can be many different ways of acquiring that one, as what is said by the Vipras. Now let us come to Mandal 2, the second Mandal, attributed to Rishi Ghritasmad, and it contains various different praises of Agni and Indra. Indra, of course, being very, very prominent in the Rigved, and also is a character later on in various different shastras as well within the Sanatan Dharma. The third mandal, which is attributed to Vishwamitra, This is of great importance to the Sanatan Parampara and of course to the Acharya Parampara as well as to Sanatan Vedic Dharma in totality, because it contains the very, very famous Gayatri mantra. The Gayatri mantra's source is in fact the third mandal of the Rigved. The mandal number 4, which is attributed to Vamadev, further praises Agni and Indra. The 5th mandal is attributed to Rishi Atri and praises Agni, Indra, Vishwadev, Marut, Ashwini Kumar, Mitra Varun, and various others. It is important to know that according to one shakha, which is a sub-shakha, the Shri Sukt also is attributed to the 5th mandal of the Rigved. The Shri Sukt is of great importance. It is what is the Ahvahan, the invocation of Ma Lakshmi, of Shri, discussing what Ma Lakshmi brings in terms of adhyatmic progress as well as materialistic gains, and is this wonderful confluence of both enjoying the fruits of living as well as attempting to understand the truth that we are ourselves, as well as the truth that we are surrounded by, and not getting lost in simply the materialistic aims. The 6th mandal, which is attributed to Rishi Bharadwaj, besides the various different prayers to all the other Rigvedic gods, there is a mention of rivers. These are known as the Sapta Sindhavaha, the seven rivers. In the 7th mandal of the Rigved, which is attributed to Maharishi Vashisht, there are various different praises to various other different Vedic gods, as well as mention of other rivers. In the 8th mandal of the Rigved, which is attributed to Kanva and Angira, there are praises of the Vedic gods, as well as to Vak, which is particularly very important, because Vak is essentially the notion, the act of speaking. It is Vak, and the presiding deity of speech. So it just goes to show how important speech in itself was and still is to the Vedic people. The 9th mandal of the Rigved, attributed to Som, describes the sacred ritual of Somapan, the drinking of the Somaras. It's medicinal and it's a ritualistic importance. Therefore, the entire process of Somapan is mentioned and elaborated upon within the 9th mandal of the Rigved. The 10th mandal of the Rigved is attributed to Vimad, Indra and others, and contains various different praises to the Rigvedic gods. The Nadi Sukt, the very, very famous description of all the various different rivers in Vedic India, is also found in the 10th mandal. Imam me Gange Yamune Saraswati Shutudri Satemam Satva Sachata Parushnya Asiknya Marudradhe Vitastyarjakiye Shanyuha Sushomaya. O Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Shutudri, Parushni, follow my praise. O Asikni, Marudvridha, Vitasta, with the Arjakiya and Sushoma, pray, listen. The Purush Sukt as well is found within the 10th mandal of the Rigved. The Purush Sukt is a very, very important Sukt, the Rigvedic Sukt, which is a must for many Vedic ceremonies. You use it in a range of different rituals, and of particular importance to certain Vaishnav paramparas as well, where the Isht is actually seen to be the Purush. The Purush meaning the cosmic being, which essentially is what permeates the entire universe, and the entire universe is within that cosmic being, within that cosmic Purush. And this is the Purush Sukt. It is the entire cosmos is found within the mention of the Purush Sukt. Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapada Sabhuvim Vishwato Vritta Tasya Tishtadashangula. O Purush, you has 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 feet on every side pervading the earth. He fills up 10 fingers wide. He fills up space 10 fingers wide. Essentially meaning that the Purush is in fact not only a part of the entire cosmos, the cosmos itself is the Purush, and the Purush is 10 fingers above any other existence. Also giving it this greatness. the only reference to the Varnashram, which is essentially the description of all the 4 Varna, the origin of this is in fact the Rigved, this Purush Sukt, where you have the Brahmanosya Mukhamasi Bahu Rajanyah Kritaha Uru Tadasyad Vaishyaha Padbhyam Shudro Ajayata. The Brahman was his mouth, of both his hands the Rajanya was made, his thighs became the Vaishya, and from the feet the Shudra were born. Irrespective of how the Varnashram is unfortunately being perceived today with some form of ignorance to actually what Dharma Shastra has to say about the Varnashram, sometimes there can be quite a bit of discussion of how it is unfair. But what is very interesting is that it is the Rigved, the oldest mention of the Varnashram, the oldest mention of this division of labor, if you would like to call it that, is that who makes up all those factors that make up society, whether it is the learned Brahmins of the ritual fame, or whether it is those who protect with the Kshatriya, with the Kshatriya Dharma, or whether it is the Vaishyas who, as a matter of fact, are the source of economic power in society, or the Shudras who are the machinery of the entire state. All of them are part of one cosmic being. They are all part of one Purush, and to one Purush they all must go back. It is this very, very profound notion which is found within the Purush Sukt, which is found in the 10th Mandal of the Rigved. The very famous Hiranyagarbha Sukta, Hiranyagarbha meaning the praise of the golden egg of creation. It relates to a certain degree the very source of creation, but does make a very clear mention that though it is a creation, this is one thing which is created, and then one thing which creates and then disintegrates and then is recreated. This, the origin of this idea is the Hiranyagarbha Sukta. The very famous Nasadiya Sukta, which is a particular favorite for many who like to claim that there is a form of atheism in the Ved. It is certainly not atheism. Some might question its atheistic nature because it does not deny, it simply questions the existence. And it is in the parampara of the inquisitiveness of the mind that in the Rigved this does find mention. Na sadasin no sadasin tada nim nasi drajo vyoma paro yat. Then even non-existence was not there, nor existence. There was no air, there was no space beyond it. This is what is essentially being said in the Nasadiya Sukt. It goes on to fundamentally end with, this is the questioning ability of not just the Ved, it is also the inquiry, the inquisitiveness, the curiosity. It goes on to end with, Iyam visrishtir yat avabhuva yadi vadadhe yadivana yo asadhyaksha parame Vyomanso anga veda yadivana veda. Whence all creation had its origin, the Creator, whether He fashioned it or whether He did not. The Creator who surveys it from the highest heaven, perhaps He knows, or maybe even He does not know. There is this idea that is the Creator, that all various different religious traditions do state that there is a Creator. In the Sanatan Dharma, in particular the Ved and the 10th Mandal, and in particular the Nasadiya Sukta, it questions that if there is a Creator, well, if He is watching above and if He is creating, then who created that Creator? Maybe the Creator knows, or possibly even the Creator is simply doing His Dharma, is simply doing an act, and maybe there is some fundamental truth even beyond the Creator which has created this. And this is the inquisitiveness of the Nasadiya Sukt, which unfortunately is being used as sort of this atheism. It certainly is not. Once you understand what the Nasadiya Sukt is, you would see that this is inquisitiveness and it is questioning and being very, very true to the parampara of inquiry. Essentially, the Rigved is a river of knowledge. The Rigved comprises all of Vedic life, thought, inquiry, and fundamentally, the Rigvedic experience. These 10 mandals are the oldest used religious literature in the world, and this is a sense of great pride, which of course only the Vedic people can claim. That brings me to the end of this Rigved video. Continue watching this series as we proceed to understand the rest of the Ved as well, along with all other scriptures. Mahadev.